Hey guys, this is Pam or iShine11, whatever you usually come to my channel for. I just wanted to do a quick video on Steve Jobs. He passed away late last night or early this morning. Can't remember exactly what time. But he passed away within the past 24 hours. And I'm just thinking about how much of an impact he had on the world. Like, he literally affected the world with what he did. And what I like about it the most is that he started out doing something that he loved and happened to affect the world. He just able to think of these things, making it better for music. Instead of playing it with a CD player, you can play your music on an MP3 player that has all your songs in one piece. And then he made them smaller and smaller and smaller. And then with the iMacs and his laptops, he kept making them smaller and smaller while they were doing more things and getting faster. Um, how I can relate to Apple is that I've never had an Apple computer, but I've had a lot of iPods. The first iPod I had was the iPod Shuffle, the very first iPod Shuffle. It looked like the little remote that comes with that came with, I don't know if it still does, that came with the laptops that were coming out at the time that they were putting out, and I had that, and I played that to death. Actually, like the way you charged it, it didn't even have a USB. This is how you know it wasn't first. It was first generation. It didn't even have a USB. You took the top part of it off, like it was like a little top part. You took the top part of it off, and it was a little stick, and you stuck it in inside of your computer. Well, sticking it inside a computer with the tower, I didn't have a laptop at the time. With the tower, the CPU, sitting on the floor, people walked past it, people knocked it over, and it actually ended up getting bent. The part where you charge it at, and I couldn't use it anymore. But luckily, my mom bought me the next generation iPod Shuffle, which would look like a little box, and you clip it on your belt loop and throw it in your pocket, and that held about 250 songs. And I loved it. It had the little circle with the play and pause button in the middle, and then around you can go forward or backwards. And I can remember this year when I had this specifically. It was late 2007, after I graduated high school. I was in my dorm, first semester of college, and commercials started coming out for the iPod Touch, the very first iPod Touch. And I'm like, oh my god, I gotta have this. I gotta have this iPod Touch. I literally wanted to go from the Shuffle, which is the smallest MP3 player Apple had, to an iPod Touch. So imagine how big a change I had to go through. But I asked my dad for it. I think it was $300 when it first came out, and he was like, "No, it's too much. You need stuff for school. Blah blah blah." So to basically tell I wasn't getting it. But then Christmas Eve, which is when I had my dinner with my mom and my brother, and we opened our presents on Christmas Eve. Opened my present for my brother, and it's radio for the iPod Touch. You know how a lot of the iPods they had, or I don't know what you call it, but the speakers you could sit it in, and it could play music in a louder space than just on your iPod. Well, my brother bought me one of those stereo radio things, and I'm like, okay, I must be getting the iPod then. But I didn't get the iPod that night. Next day, when I went to my aunt's on Christmas down in Chester, and my dad came over and he gave me his present. Guess what it was? An iPod Touch. And I was like, ooh, I had the box. I was shaking it around. I did my little iPod dance. I remember the promotional song. I can't remember what it was called, but they kept saying, music is my boyfriend, music is my girlfriend. The song kept saying, basically, music is my everything. And I thought, like, wow, I have my iPod Touch. And at the time, I had just got, well, not at the time, maybe a year before, I just gotten a job about an 2 hours away from my house via public transportation. If you get in the car, you probably get there in like a half an hour, 45 minutes. But it was 2 hours away from my house. I worked at King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, PA. I was living in the Mount Airy section of Philly. So getting from there, I had to get to Center City first from Mount Airy and then go from Center City to King of Prussia. So that was about 2 hours getting there and 2 hours coming back every day. And just having that iPod and having my music and having all the apps. And at the time, I didn't use the apps, as many apps as I should have. But having all of that, just being able to access all of that stuff at once, it's really helped me a lot. Because can you imagine having a CD player, traveling somewhere, 2 hours to get there every day, 2 hours to get there coming back? Even if you made a mix CD for your CD player, say your mix CD holds 15 songs. Songs average about 4 minutes a piece. There's only an hour worth of song. I still have 3 hours getting there and coming back to work, so I need more than 15 songs. So having all of the songs in one location was really useful and helpful to me. I remember when Coldplay's Viva La Vida CD came out, and anybody that knows me knows that's my favorite song in the entire world. I love that freaking song. I love that album. And I remember when the commercial premiered for Viva La Vida, the single, and it was on. I believe it appeared sometime during American Idol, and I thought the commercial was magical, and it was colors flying everywhere, and you couldn't see the bandmates, but you could see Chris Martin's shadow jumping around and singing the song. You could see the people hitting the drums, and I was just really excited. And that was like I had to get that song on my iPod Touch. Like I had to get it. Like it had to be on my iPod when it came out, and I downloaded it as soon as it came out, and it was just like just my iPod Touch is now resting in peace. I used it for 2 years and used it so much that I broke the home button. And I still found a way to use the iPod Touch without the home button, but then it got to a point where it would just experience so much wear and tear that I just couldn't get around it, and it is now resting in peace. But just those iPods has had such an impact on my life, and it kind of brought music back into my life, because with CD players, I was just getting tired of carrying around my CD case and my CD player. Like it was, each of them are really bulky, and you got to put them in your bag, and you take an iPod, you roll it up and put it in your pocket or put it in your purse, and that's it. Like there's no more you have to, there's no more you have to, do with it. So yeah, I want to thank Steve Jobs for putting music back into my life. It has been very useful. His devices have been very useful, served their purposes for me, like they have for all of the millions and maybe even billions of people that have been affected by his work. I know people around the world are giving tributes, and maybe it may seem like I'm not the right person to give a tribute because I'm not an Apple person that had all of the latest Apple products, but the products I had, I definitely used them to the fullest, and I can't imagine those periods of time, especially beginning of college, not having an iPod. Like, what? Are you serious? Now, here's what I was thinking. Imagine all of the people, like Obama said earlier, he said you can tell the impact Steve Jobs had by the amount of people that found out about his passing on devices he made. Like, wow, like people probably looked on their iPhones, looked on their Macs, their laptops, and went, wow, the person who created this, who was the power behind this, is now gone. So just think about that. Like the iPhone 4S, that's what's coming out next Friday, right? Like people are gonna get that device and go, wow, the genius behind this is gone. Like crazy. And now it's gonna be a little sentimental for me because my mom said she's gonna give me an iPad. Sorry, she's gonna give me an iPad for Christmas. I've been asking for an iPad for like ever now. So I'm gonna get one for Christmas, and it's gonna be like really sentimental. I saw a fan made a dedication, a tribute symbol to Steve Jobs. It's a black background and it's a white apple, and you kind of see his face poking in on the side of the apple, so it looks kind of like an apple bite, but it's his face on the side of the apple, and it's really, really cute. And I think that's the most fitting way you can give a tribute to that man. Also, I can't remember exactly when this happened, but it had to happen at least 10 or 15 years ago. Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple due to some reason throughout the company. But when he was ousted, he bought Pixar. You know what Pixar is responsible for? Toy Story, Cars, Monsters Inc. What person born in my generation, I'm 22 years old, what person who I grew up with hasn't seen Toy Story? Do you know how many of us grown college students went to go see Toy Story 3 last year or the year before, whenever it came out? And that movie's made $1 billion up, by the way. It should, but oh my god, you know how many of us were so excited to see Toy Story? There were kids from babies to people my age to my parents who took me to the movies to see Toy Story 1 and 2 in that theater. Like, he's had his genius has gone behind so many things that people love and enjoy, and it shows you just how important and appreciative everyone is to his work and how much of a genius he was. But I don't want to keep going on. I don't want to make this a long video. I just wanted to share my thoughts on how much of an impact this man has made. And whether you have had an Apple product, have seen a Pixar movie or not, you've at least heard of Steve Jobs. You've at least heard of Pixar or Apple. So it shows you how worldly this man is and how much he's had an impact on everybody. Alright, that's all. I'm gonna go. I know my hair looks absolutely crazy, but I just came in from school and it's really windy outside. But anyway, guys, that's it. If you want to leave a tribute to Steve Jobs, which I suggest you all do, if you go on Apple's official website, right now all that's up there is a picture of Steve Jobs, and if you click on the picture, they give you a little link and an email address to where you can send your thoughts and videos and stuff like that. So please do that if you've had any type of impact from Apple or Steve Jobs. All right, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.